We're going to turn it over to Mr. Brindisi. Over to you for 5.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Secretary, and both generals for being here today. I don't want to belabor the point, General Raymond, because I know you talked about this earlier, integrating National Guard units into Space Force, and as you know, National Guard units across 8 states are currently working on space-related missions, including the Triple Deuce, which is Triple Deuce Command and Control, which is in Rome, New York, and upstate New York. So I'd welcome a further conversation with you, as we discussed earlier, to talk about that integration. Thank you.
Happy to do so.
Secretary Barrett, the NDS reoriented our strategy to focus on great power competition and ensuring we stay ahead in terms of research and development of game-changing technologies like quantum science and AI. And as you know, the Air Force Research Laboratories Information Directorate in Rome, known as Rome Lab, has been at the forefront of both quantum research as well as CUAS. And I wanted to ask if you could briefly speak on how you view competition with China regarding these critical technologies like quantum and AI, and talk about your vision for how we can use our incredible DoD lab base to ensure we win this technology competition with China.
Our ability to compete against great powers, especially against China, with their use of technology and their trajectory in development, will not be possible without using quantum capabilities, without AI, and without the kind of leadership that the Rome labs have demonstrated. We will lean upon the outcome, the product of those labs long into the future. So they are quintessentially pivotal to our future.
Do you think, just to follow up on that, do you think we're investing adequate resources fast enough to keep pace with China?
When it comes to innovation, I always feel like there isn't enough, we're not doing enough, but it is a high priority.
And can you talk a little bit about the Air Force's efforts to improve public-private partnerships and research of emerging technologies?
As Chief Goldstein demonstrated in his comments, we really are experimenting, doing new things, trying new techniques, working in partnerships that previously didn't exist. So it's really a great focus of the United States Air Force and really throughout the Department of Defense on making better use of friends, allies, partners in the United States and abroad.
Thank you. And I know I had the privilege of welcoming Secretary Wilson to Rome Lab last March. I know she was very impressed with the innovative, groundbreaking work that they're doing, and I would extend the same offer to you. I think you certainly would be very impressed by what's happening there.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
I want to shift real quick to mental health and suicide prevention. I also have the privilege of serving on the House Veterans Affairs Committee, and I appreciate in your testimony you recognize that suicide is a, quote, insidious threat to our force and it's devastating military families. I know the Air Force is focusing on suicide prevention and providing our airmen with resiliency skills, but last year 137 airmen, active, guard, and reserve died by suicide. Last year, the Air Force's number of suicides was the highest level in 3 decades. Can you briefly speak to what the Air Force is doing now to address this trend, and how you plan to change the Air Force's approach as you move forward here?
This is one of the scourges of our time. It is something that is devastating to the morale in our communities, and has been taken seriously, especially by Chief Goldstein during this past year, as we look to implement specific things that can help to move the needle on that. I'd invite his attention to it.
Yes, General.
Sir, suicide is killing more airmen than any adversary on the planet. It's an adversary. And the way we're attacking it and defending ourselves is through 2 primary efforts. First of all, at the institutional level, we're taking a page out of what Special Operations Command so very successfully instituted, called the Preservation of the Force and Family, and we're spreading that across the Air Force at an Operation True North. And we have money in this budget to expand that to 14 bases as we continue to expand that out. But the most important work that we're doing is at the unit level. So we asked each wing commander, active, guard, and reserve, to stand down their wing at a time and place of their choosing to kick off a year-long campaign to get after this adversary, make it personal, make it continuous. And so we have not seen the numbers go down yet, but we're attacking it aggressively.
Thank you, General, very much. If there's things that we can work on as a committee or even in the House Veterans Affairs Committee, I know this is an area that I have great concern and many members do, so I appreciate your efforts in this regard. I yield back.
I agree with my colleague on just the importance of that issue and what we can do to address suicides in our services as well as with our veterans.